know our story is huge, and it's completely unconstitutional. We get ranchers who are being threatened by government agencies. They're being read their rights, and we are being loud and proud finally for the first time in several years. So what do we do as cattle ranchers and farmers who are the breadbasket of the world to get our story covered?
Well, first of all, you should go to, who are the bad guys? The EPA? Dress up as a prostitute. I'll be the pimp. They can't help themselves, they really can't. I believe the conservatives suffer from not being impish or mischievous enough. You guys are too nice. You're too straightforward. And this is the good part of having been an ex-liberal. I know how they think, and I get myself into trouble periodically. I just did last week, by the way, where I said some intemperate things about Janine Garofalo. And who else was it? Richard Trump guy. There was an F and a U that I put together in a more elaborate sentence structure against the head of the AFL-CIO. And then what else? Oh yeah, Nancy Pelosi I wasn't particularly kind to. And I have to be honest, it was cathartic for me to say that stuff, because after so many years of being attacked by these people and being called racist, and I can't think of anything worse to be accused of, and they're doing it to try to destroy you. So to lob back what on a Friday night, and I said it on a Friday night, what Bill Maher says every single week, I think he even used the C word to describe Sarah Palin, it felt rather cathartic. But I am an autodidact, I'm a self-taught conservative. They obviously didn't teach it to me in prep school or in college. And I have a lot to learn in the process. And everybody in the room and everybody in the conservative movement holds Ms. Garofalo and the former speaker in contempt because of what they've done and or said or falsely ascribed to their political enemies to try to destroy them and their reputations. But what I learned was that conservatives have standards. And I regret having used those words, no matter how cathartic and truthful they were, because it conferred upon the audience something that they wouldn't have said. And that it's a standard. Democrats and liberals can get away with it because they're moral relativists. There isn't a standard that they believe in. And so when I started getting emails, at first I was like, how dare you conservatives criticize me? How dare you? And one after the other, these people were saying, we're conservatives. We don't believe in that type of language in a public setting. And so I'm regretful of it, and it's a learning process out there. So don't call the EPA the B word. You're not alone. I've been up in Idaho twice within the last year, and I always thought I was a pissed off conservative, you know, in Los Angeles, where they just eat away at you. But the ranchers and the farmers in this country are the last of the free and the self-reliant in this country, and it appears to me that they have a special zeal to go after you guys, because you are the anomaly in the utopia that they're trying to create. They don't want free and independent people who are self-sufficient. They don't want hunters and farmers that roam the land. That's why they create rules so that you can't pick mushrooms on your 17,000 square foot property so that they can control you. And it's a problem of getting media people who are city-centric and don't think in those terms. And so I hate to fight fire with fire. First of all, I would hook up with Paul Rodriguez, who is a former Obama supporter, the comedian, and with what happened to him in the Central Valley, there's nothing quite like the power of using the power that they use. Find minority farmers, find celebrities. You have to use the tricks of the media that they use against them. You need to find somebody to fight your cause for you. You need to find media-savvy people to go out there and tell your narrative. That's the answer. You're just going to have to become media-savvy.
The pig farmers case always blows my mind when I hear you talk about it, and I was just wondering if there's been any updates and if there's anything we can do to help you with that one.
Well, there's more Pigford coming up this week. I don't know if you've seen the pictures that we show of Obama with the new Black Panther Party, photos that were suppressed and hidden in 2007, Malik Zulu Shabazz. The new Black Panther Party was one of the first things that the Obama administration did was drop a case that had already been tried, and they were convicted for wielding billy clubs at a polling place. And J. Christian Adams has a book out as of yesterday called Injustice that I highly recommend that you get. He's one of these crazy things that in 2003, I think we called the year the whistleblower on Time magazine, but that was whistleblowers when it's whistleblowers against Republican administration, and Christian Adams is targeted mercilessly for having been a whistleblower against Eric Holder. And, you know, this is a racialist, racist Department of Justice. The proof is there. The Pigford story is pretty complicated. Let me try and give a 1-minute summary. I don't think it... How do I know about the Pigford? How do I know about black farmers? And I'm from Brentwood and I'm a secular Jew. Shirley Sherrod is how. They fired her. The President of the United States fired her immediately, and they immediately needed to find a scapegoat, and that was me. That I was the one who selectively edited a video. No, I didn't. I was sent a video. The video had the part where she says, eventually I realized it's not about black versus white, it's about rich versus poor, which Chris Matthews even says that was the redemptive part. My piece said, eventually her basic humanity informs her to help the white farmer. But Barack Obama, without due diligence, and Tom Vilsack forced her to be fired off the side of the road. Okay? Barack Obama had stepped into duty, and they needed to change the narrative from having fired somebody without knowing the whole story. And the same week, my friends over at MSNBC started to blame me for the defunding of Pigford. I didn't know what Pigford was. Why would I know what Pigford is? Pigford, Pigford, Pigford. On the Lawrence O'Donnell show, they blame me for the defunding of Pigford. On the Rachel Maddow show, they blame me for the defunding of Pigford. Black Farmer Zero, right-winger, blogger, Breitbart, 1. Like, what did I do? What did I do? The same week that they fired Shirley Sherrod, they pulled out of a supplementary military funding bill, meaning they buried $1.25 billion to go to the Pigford II settlement, of which Shirley Sherrod was the #1 recipient, along with her husband, of $13 million. And so there is direct communication between the White House and MSNBC. Why would Caucasians, Chris Hayes at the Maddow show, and Lawrence O'Donnell, who are just pancake makeup up people, be talking about an obscure thing unless they were told that they needed to talk about this? So I started to research what Pigford was. Oh my God. It's the reparations movement, and it went pro. And this isn't my language, this is the language that we caught on video when we went undercover in black churches in the rural black South, where hucksters are teaching people in the pews that they can get a $50,000 check from the government if they claim that between 1981 and 1997 that they, their father, their grandfather, their grandmother attempted to farm. Not farmed, attempted to farm. What is the standard that Eric Holder, of the Justice Department under Bill Clinton, accepted? The standard was that if you went to the Farm Service Agency loan office and asked for an application and they didn't give it to you, there's no paperwork to show that you went there, but if you say that you went there between 1981 and 1997, you get your $50,000 if you can get anyone you know to say that they were a witness, that at a point between 1981 and 1997, that you went there. And so, how did this happen? There were 157 black farmers who were discriminated against by the USDA. The USDA, if I were the president, I'd get rid of it tomorrow, and I believe that lady's problems would end. Some of them would end. What the hell are they doing over there in the first place? Like the #2 bank in the country. What are they doing loaning people money and not loaning people in the first place? This was instituted during the USDA was instituted during the Depression era. And it's basically based upon antiquated socialist constructs. But these black farmers were treated like crap by the USDA. And they had a pretty good case. And do you know what these black farmers wanted? They wanted their land that was being gobbled up, just like the rancher gal and her family are dealing with their land is being gobbled up by the government. The thing is, the USDA took advantage of the minority farmers and took advantage of them and got them into loans that they couldn't afford, and then they would gobble up their land. And so the lawsuits were true and laudatory. They were valid. But Caucasian lawyers associated with the Democratic Party hijacked this good case because there wasn't a lot of money in 157 black farmers getting their land back. So the Justice Department and the USDA settled the case absent the acquiescence or agreement of the 157 black farmers. The black farmers, who all they want is their farm back so that they can farm their land, get the message that their attorneys have settled the case and said, it's not about farmers. They created a class called the attempted to farmer that I previously described. And instead of farmers getting their land back, they created $50,000 checks, of which the Caucasian lawyers got $12,500. And so the job became a racket to go through the rural black South to sign up as many people as humanly possible. Let's talk about the raw numbers here. There are 18,000 black farmers according to the US Census in 1997. There were 2,000 to 3,000 that the advocates of Pigford said. 2,000 to 3,000 that had, I think there were 3,000 that had farm loans, paperwork with the USDA. So their estimates were that there would be 2,000 to 3,000 people in Pigford 1. The initial lawsuit as settled in the year 2000. There were 18,000 black farmers. There would be a maximum of 3,000. In the first Pigford, there were 22,500 claimants, 4,500 more than there were actual farmers, stipulating that all black farmers were discriminated against in their attempt to farm.